Hi and welcome to September 2020 Patreon rewards video. So as usual, it's been a pretty hectic month this month. It's been pretty crazy. Let's just get to it. But I've been actually pretty productive as far as with my comic. So let's take a look. So here's the first. Last month I started working on my comic. This month, I'm almost done with it. All I have to do is finish coloring the last two panels, and it should go pretty quickly as soon as I have the whole background coloring solved for most of the panels. So, for example, here we have this panel here. This is the first panel. The thing that took the longest in this was the background. There's a lot of little textures, a lot of little things, a lot of little details, things like that. So that's really where all my time is going. And then here's this. So from now on, from this point on, the background will generally stay the same. So that means that once I get this worked out, and this isn't actually the final. I'm gonna blur this entire back so that there's not all that much detail. So once that's blurred out, and then I'll just move forward. I'll just keep replacing the back, and all I'm gonna have to do is work on the characters. See, so here's the background, and here's the characters. This is my selection and the lighting part of the drawing. And here's the so it's the same background, it's just closer and tighter. It's just that the next part should be very quickly, so go really quickly at this point. Once the background is done, I'll just replace it, and then it'll go much quicker, and I'll be done. I'll get to move on to another strip, and that's really working out really well for me. Okay, so last month I forgot that I had done this painting. So this isn't something that I will probably ever do again. This was a favor for a friend who lost their pet cat. They asked me if I would paint their pet cat. I said yes for a few reasons. One, they're good. They're good, really close friends. The husband of the wife who asked me to do this was one of my best friends in high school. So also, their cat was like a coon cat, and I happen to have a coon cat, and there was like a little bit of a connection to that, and also I've never been I haven't done a painting of an animal, and I thought that it'd be an interesting challenge, and it would be a fun challenge for me to paint an actual animal like in a portrait way. So I said, sure, why not? And this is not from a photo. I got multiple reference photos, and I was given multiple reference photos of this particular cat, whose name was Jax or Jikes. And I came up with the pose. I came up with the way that I was going to paint him. And so this is actually I came up with this from my imagination, using all the reference photos from multiple different, so I could get the cat's face, the right, so that I could be drawing that particular cat. But there was no photo of the cat like this. I invented this version of him by looking at a lot of different photos. And so this was just reference, and then I came up with the pose and the way it was going to be lit and all that stuff and everything else. So it was an extremely fun challenge for me to do. I had a lot of fun doing this. That having been said, I will never do this again. Why? Because this is not where I want to go with my art. I do not want to be drawing animals and people's pets for a living. This is not my thing. It's not my thing. I just wanted to do it. I like doing it. It was a fun challenge. That's it. So please don't ask me to, or try to commission me to draw your pets, because I just won't do it. Okay. This was one. This was a one-off. I really just wanted to challenge myself, but that's it. I'm not gonna do another one like this. So yeah, for silver patrons, you're gonna get the PSD file, so you could see what I did and how I did it. Everybody else will just get this photo of this, not photo, but this the high-res JPEG of the of Jax. So, and today this is this month's postcard. So this is what I did. So this month the winner of this month's postcard is Eric Prestaman. Eric Prestaman, you won this month's postcard. Congratulations. I will be sending it off to you. Do I have a story behind this? Oh, yes, I do. And that is that this month's postcard, I was experimenting with the Frisket. So I got this little bottle of Frisket, liquid mask. And what I did was I took, see how like there's a big white highlight? So this is where I masked it off. I put the Frisket right here on this area here. And then once I had that in there, then I just did a wash, and I did my painting as I usually do. And then once I had everything pretty much where I wanted it, I just really quickly, I with my thumb, I rubbed it off, and it just came right off. And then I got this really white of the paper just pops out. The only thing that I'm kind of annoyed with is that I use this brush. This is one of my ink watercolor brushes with the Frisket, and I think that was a mistake. There's a little bit of rubber Frisket left on the brush. Probably should have used a different brush that I don't actually use to paint with. I am no longer going to use any of the ones that I actually use to actually do paint. I'll get like a throwaway brush, or a really cheap brush that I could get from Walmart or something. I'll use that instead, just so that I don't ruin my actual good brushes. So Eric Prestaman, congratulations. You've got this month's postcard. And again, this month's postcard was watercolor, and then there was some ink and a little bit of gouache. Yeah, so. Okay, so this month, okay, so last month I actually scanned this page. This month I kept drawing more on this page. So that's from my sketchbook. It's the latest page from my sketchbook over here. I would have added this scan over here of this page again, but I decided against it because there was no real point. So this is an old sketch. So what I did here, so I have watercolor. Here, let me show you. Okay, so I have this set of Color Aquatic Aqua Stick Metallics, and they're like crayons. They're like not crayon. Well, they look like crayons, but they're like pastel sticks, right? And but they're water soluble. So when they activate with water, and when you activate them with water, they just become watercolors. And they're kind of metallic. I'm gonna use them. The thing is, I just didn't know how to use these things, because I understand how to use watercolor, but I didn't quite understand how to use sticks and watercolor pencils. So I got these. This is a set of watercolor pencils. These are not very good. These the Derwent watercolor pencils. They're not very vibrant. They're kind of meh. They're kind of meh compared to these. These are just amazing. So the reason I bring that up is because in order to see how that stuff worked, I decided. I started messing around. So here we have this is what it looks like when you wet. So I kind of colored around it, and then I wet it, and then you get this kind of that's what it looks like in crummy paper. This is really not watercolor paper. So I just wanted to see what it would look like if once it's gotten wet, and what effects it looked, the effects that you get. So here is another example here of watercolor. The watercolor. I was using these. I was watching Doctor Who. And so this was my Capaldi Doctor sketch. I was just kind of looking at him and kind of making up. It's okay. It's an okay drawing. I don't love it, but it's fine. And so I was using a ballpoint pen, and I was just doodling. And here is my attempt at using the watercolor, seeing what effects you can get with these things. Trying to draw. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I mean, it looks all muddy and gross, and it's not working, and it's because I have no idea I didn't know how to use them. I ended up later watching a few videos of people using them, and that's when some of the tips that they gave really were the thing. Really kind of made me understand how to use them a little bit more. And in fact, when it came to this postcard, I actually used my watercolor pencils, and I added I did add a few little accents to this painting, using my watercolor pencils because of the video. So, like, if you notice really closely, there's a little bit, see, like this kind of blush that I added was with watercolor pencils, and then I just wet it, and then it just became one with the painting. And I think that is how I'm going to use them. It's for when you don't want to have the color lift while you're adding an extra color. I think that's where it works best. It's watercolor pencils and these sort of things work best when they're like almost like a complement, like an extra punch, like if you're adding a little bit of extra finesse to something, that's when you pop these suckers in. So one of the things that I wanted to point out here with this is that if you notice, really closely, there is a little bit of red right here, and there's a little bit of red right here, and a little bit of red right here. In these areas, there's just a little bit of blush. So I was using these Derwent pencils, which, like I said, they're not great, but they're good enough. Like they worked well enough for me specifically in this. And so what I discovered when using like these are really good for some accents and for getting in and doing something extremely close and tight and detailed, and then you just wet it and then it just looks like watercolor. So that's really good. I mean, they're really helpful for that. Also, the thing that kind of that sold me, the thing that kind of sold the control of this thing, because if you notice again how I completely lost control over here, it's just a big ugly mess. Part of it is the way you apply the water to the thing, and it could mess things up. The best way to apply the water is from the outside in, like the lightest to the darkest area, the most concentrated, so that it doesn't ruin the gradient effect, that if you have any at all. And I think that was really helpful tip when using these things. Okay, and then lastly, and that's okay. So that's what the watercolor stuff is. And so I've been using these kind of things. I'm going to continue using them. I think that experimenting with them will be fun. And I'm going to be using more of the masking in the Frisket just to see what else I could do with it and how it could help me out. It's if you're more of a digital person, the masking liquid is basically kind of like the lasso tool for traditional tools or traditional painting, or at least watercolor. Okay, and then here we have this Gundam. Okay, so this Gundam is a cheat. Cheat as in this. I drew it yesterday. It's not something I drew in August. It's what I mean. So usually I go out of my way not to draw if it was in, if I drew something on the month, the last day of the month, that goes into the Patreon rewards. And if I drew something on the first day of the next month, but I haven't done a Patreon rewards video, that doesn't go into the rewards. That I wait till the month that I drew it in. I didn't feel like whiting out this drawing just because it's on the page, and I drew it yesterday, which is now officially so it's not. So I'm adding this as like almost like a bonus drawing. So this I've gotten an overwhelming desire to be drawing giant mecha, like just giant robots, Gundam specifically, and this was, I had to go get my a set of new tires because my tires were all flat and they were a joke. So while I waited for the mechanics to put in the new tires, I found an opportunity to draw a Gundam, and I've been building a few Gundam models, Gunpla models, for fun for a while. At first, the first time I did it, I thought it felt like it was an awful lot of work, and but I thought I'd give it another shot, and so I did. So I decided. Well, I did two small little chibi ones because they were the simplest. But what I didn't like about building those were that you had to put these stickers on them, and not only do the stickers look like garbage on the final model, but they're a pain in the neck to put on, and they're a lot of work, and it kind of ruins the fun. And then I put together an RX-78, which is like the basic normal Gundam from Gundam 78 anime series, and that was a lot more fun. Very very few stickers, three I think, and it was more fun, but I still felt like it was way too much work, and I thought I was pretty much gonna be done, and I wasn't gonna do any more, and suddenly I got an overwhelming urge to do some more, and I put together another one and had so much fun doing it. And I think part of the reason why I found the first two times building those Gunpla were so much work was because I thought that I had to do it all in one sitting. And that's not that's actually makes it feel like work if you're doing it all in one sitting. If you sit down and just do it for like 20 minutes and then leave it alone, uh, because it took you 20 minutes just to get some of it done, it kind of eats away at you that you haven't finished it, and you want to get back to it, and it's more exciting that way. It's almost like doing a comic, because and then I wanted to draw Gundams. I felt like drawing Gundams. I felt like I'm curious how can, because I always admire the drawings of the mechas, and of Transformers and things like that are like the really good, well drawn stuff. And I'm like, I wanna try it. I want to give it a try. I want to see if it's any fun. And I did some sketches, and I may give them as rewards, or put them in as rewards, or share them next month. But they were kind of bad. I thought that I would be able to just like I have a book here. So I have this Char's counterattack book, which is, I really love the mecha in Char's counterattack. And so they have model sheets of the Gundams in here, of the mobile suits, and the Zazabi and the Mark II, and all and the Zeta Gundams, and all this other stuff, right? So I thought, hey, I have the model sheets. I'm gonna just use the model sheets, and I'm going to just draw my own Gundams from using the model sheets as reference. And I discovered that it was way, way, way over my head. Like it was way too difficult for me to draw them. The reason why is because they were made. The way that the compound shapes of the Gundams are placed in space. So they have this. They have this domino mask. They have like a nose and a mouth, and then they have a face mask, like Optimus Prime, kind of a face mask, like a ninja mask, like the coronavirus masks, and then they have like this helmet that comes out and squishes their face, and that's all fine. All of that is generally basic shapes, but then the thing that always throws me off is that they have this bulging thing popping out, and seeing that in space, I can't wrap my head around this. Is usually this area right here that kind of, this is where it all falls apart. And what I discovered is that I don't have a frame of reference of what an overhanging mass coming out of a helmet kind of looks like. And I also don't know what, I don't have enough experience with what like these jetting out chunks of masses coming out here like that looks like in this kind of helmet thing, with the ridges. All of that, I don't have a frame of reference in my head. Like I haven't drawn that enough from life so that when I draw it from my imagination, I know what it looks like. So what I've decided to do is I'm gonna either use my Gunpla or photos of other people's Gunpla, or maquettes of any kind like that, and then I'm gonna I'm going to use that as my real world reference so that I could draw them over and over and build that reference library in my head, so that once I have reached a certain amount of drawings from life, then I'd be able to draw it from my imagination, because I'll have that frame of reference to draw upon, because I've had all this experience having drawn from life. And that is the way that you learn to draw from imagination, is to have life experience. That's why you go to figure drawing and you draw live figures in different positions, because I've found that when you go to figure drawing enough, you have enough frame of reference so that when you come back to drawing from your imagination and you're drawing ahead from imagination, you remember what it looked like when you were drawing it from life. And then you have much more of an idea as to how to solve a drawing problem, because you have that frame of reference from having done it before in the past, from experience, from having observed it in real life. And so that's one of the things that I often, when I give advice to the people I'm coaching and I'm trying to get them to draw boxes and things like that, I say, if you don't have a frame of reference, if you don't think you know what it looks like, if you're drawing a box or a cube or anything and it's not coming out right, then get a Rubik's Cube or get your kids letter boxes or blocks or whatever it is that they have, and then look at it, draw from life, get that frame of reference, learn, get that experience, absorb it. And little by little, then when you draw it from your imagination, because you have experience, having seen it, having drawn it, having studied it from life, then it comes back and you're able to do it. So this drawing, there was a photo online of the RX-93 Gundam, and I looked at it and then I drew the Gundam based off the photo. And it was actually very enjoyable, but at the same time it was very challenging, and it was really educational, because I was able to observe what goes into the perspective and the solidity of getting it right. I realized that this kind of round shape that comes around, like because it bends between it bends slightly. I wouldn't have come up with this solution had I not observed that you could actually see the underdrawing of this thing. On this end, looking down in 3/4, I would have never had thought that was the case. And also these areas here, I would have made them flat, but they're actually going down this way. I mean, there was so many little details and ideas and solutions that I would have never thought to do had I not done this observational drawing. So once I finished doing the line work, I decided to ink it, and I used a brush pen that I had. I didn't want to use a Micron, my Micron pen, simply because I didn't feel like using a Micron that day. Unfortunately, the brush pen that I used didn't have waterproof ink. I didn't realize until midway through the inking that maybe this pen isn't waterproof ink. And sure enough, after I was done inking the entire thing, I took out my water brush and then I kind of swiped a little bit just to see what happens, and it's smeared, right? So I was like, oh, I can't color this with my watercolors because it's just going to become a big, ugly mess. So I used ballpoint pens, so you could see these lines are colored ballpoint pen lines. They just happen to be green. This is a green ink. This is orange ink. There's some black ink here. And then I realized, well, these areas are gray. I want to color them gray, so I decided to wet. I got my water brush again, and I just straight up smeared the ink. And this is what happened. Like I used the ink that smeared off of the not waterproof ink pen, and I just smeared it around and colored this gray. It worked out pretty well. Like just kind of use it like a water brush, like one of these oh, water soluble pencils. So I just, why not do that? And so it turned out looking pretty decent, just kind of smearing that ink around to, and it looked good. It looked fine. So from now on, I'm gonna just be playing around, doing a few more mobile suits and a few more Gundam, using my Gunpla, and also using, because the Gunpla, I realized they have terrible detail, like the small ones that I'm using, which are the master grades. I mean the high grades, are not as detailed as you'd think. I would have to have like a master grade to do a little bit more detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Gunpla as the general shapes, so to see what the fundamental shapes of a Gundam looks like in perspective under different circumstances, so I could get frames of reference, so I could build my visual library. But I'm also going to use whatever I could find with model sheets of the actual Gundam, so that I could get slightly more of the finer details. And that together will hopefully give me much more of a frame of reference. Will I continue doing more and more mecha as I go along? That depends on how much fun I'm having with them. I may hate doing it because it's full of like all kinds of doodads and doohickeys and detail, but maybe I could get my mindset in such a way that's okay. Maybe that'll be fine with me. It'll feel almost like making a model. Building one of the models takes about that much time, so maybe drawing something is almost like making a model, but on paper. I don't know. So that's, from moving forward, I'm gonna be doing a few more mecha just for the fun of it, just because it's a little bit different. I don't know how to do it. I haven't gotten good at it. It'll be interesting, and I admire right now. I'm really looking at a lot of models and a lot of mecha drawings, and really finding it very enjoyable to look at those things and wanting to get into it and draw some myself. All right, so thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you for your support, and I will talk to you next time. All right.